okay, then how will we celebrate our win? And I want to let you know that what happened in America yesterday did not just occur in a vacuum. It didn't just happen. People worked hard for it. People made sure that that thing happened, that the win happened. It didn't just happen. So it is not something to allude to some spiritual powers that made it happen. No, it is as a result of people's effort. Yes, there is a place for spiritual things and all of that. There is a place for the metaphysical, but not everything is left to the metaphysical. Not everything is left to spirituality. We have to do our part so that the spiritual side, they know that you've done your part, therefore the remaining they can do. But you must do your part. So this morning, as I'm saying this morning, I'm encouraging you this morning. We must wake up and do our part. We must wake up and do our part. And in that spirit, I want to bring this news to you. In that spirit, I want to bring this news to you. This heading here says, INEC chairman faces jail threat as Serap files contempt suit over failure to go after electoral offenders. And this was published on Sahara Reporters on the 27th of October. And it goes on to say the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a contempt lawsuit against Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. This is due to his failure to investigate the allegations of electoral offenses committed during the 2023 general elections, identify suspected perpetrators and their sponsors, and ensure their effective prosecution. Okay. Okay. So this is a very serious issue. This is a very serious issue. They say Yakubu, the man in charge of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, failed to investigate the allegations of electoral offenses that was committed during the 2023 general elections. And I know you are not surprised that this man refused to investigate anything because he is chairman of whatever electoral malpractices that happened. I mean, this is somebody who ensured that a man who actually forged his certificate is the current president of Nigeria. This is the man who made it possible. This is the man who made sure that somebody with a criminal record was not disqualified by INEC. This is the man who made it possible that a man with a fraudulent certificate was not disqualified. And today he is here. And today he is still there ensuring that those who helped him in order to bring this abomination to Nigerians are in their positions. And this goes to tell you the state that Nigeria is in right now. There is no solution to Nigeria except bringing Nigeria to an end. That is the only solution that you can bring to Nigeria. And this is why IPOB has brought the only solution to the Nigerian problem. The only solution to the Nigerian problem is what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has offered to Nigeria, is what IPOB has offered to Nigeria. So as you are celebrating, as people are celebrating, do they remember that, do they ever think of the fact that Americans actually did something in order to ensure that they are where they are right now? Are people thinking of it, or is it just celebrating other people's wins without saying, but then, what about us? What about us? The fact of the matter is that elections have consequences. The fact of the matter is that elections have consequences. You have seen the consequences of the Nigerian elections that brought Tinubu in. You've seen the consequences of Goodluck Jonathan losing election, and then Tinubu was Buhari was forced on Nigerians. You have seen the consequences of forcing Buhari on Nigerians. That led to mask wearer being forced on Nigeria. Mask wearers, not even one, mask wearers being forced on Nigerians. And that led to a certificate forger, somebody who is a drug dealer who was convicted of drug dealing in America, forced on Nigerians. So elections have consequences. The question is, who is paying the price? Who is paying the price? That is the question. And what price is it? That is the question that we must be asking ourselves this morning. Who is paying the price? Who is paying the price? And what is the price? Now, let's look at the price because it might seem as if we are talking about something in the future, but we are really not talking about something in the future. We are talking about now. People are paying the price right now. Okay, look at the price here. This news says courts misinterprets federalism, lacks authority to stop state allocations. Professor Odita accuses Wike of procuring judgments. This is from November 3rd, 2024. And this is one of the prices that you have to pay for electoral fraud. This is one of the court doesn't even know its place. There is total misjudgment. There is total misinterpretation. They don't know their place. And 2 days ago, I did read about the court in Enugu that asked the police that made a sentence in judgment where police officers disappeared somebody that they abducted in the name of cultism, and they disappeared the person, and the court asked for 20 million to be paid. In as much as at least there is some sense of responsibility that the court has been able to bring these people to some sort of judgment, but we are saying that that kind of judgment will not bring any sort of solution to the Nigerian situation. The courts must understand their responsibility and must wake up to their responsibility. But what you are seeing right now is the result of when somebody is forced on you. For instance, look at Imo State. For instance, look at Imo State. When Hope Uzodinma was forced on the Imo people, what has happened? The Imo people have lost a lot of lives in tens of thousands, if not more, that Hope Uzodinma has killed for organ harvesting and for several other things. That is a cost that people that you have to pay, that we have to pay for such. And it is not just for such. When you leave such to keep happening, there are more. The price to pay is not, it's more and more. It increases as the day goes by. It increases as the day goes by. Now, let us look at another price that people are paying. This is also from Sahara Reporters. It says Nigerian police plot to dismiss female officer in Edo, demote husband for exposing rapist colleague who molested teenage suspect inside cell. This is the price that Nigerians are paying for electoral fraud, for not being able to put somebody there, for not being able to have their mandate there. And the crazy thing is that Nigerians have never had their mandate to represent them in the government house. Never. They've never had the person that they voted represent them in Aso. Right from the first election, according to the British citizen that was part of those who organized the first election, he made it clear that that election was as fraudulent as the Tinubu's election, the election that brought Tinubu in, broad daylight robbery. And it says Nigerian police plot to dismiss female officer in Edo, demote husband for exposing rapist colleague who molested teenage suspect inside cell. So now they would rather support rapists than to actually defend their children. They would rather support rapists than defend their children. And does this not remind you of the allegation the army officer, the woman, made against a colleague, another army officer, that she was always being drugged and raped by that army officer, using other soldiers in order to bring her, drug her, rape her, and do whatever they want to do with her. And this happened for a long time. This is what is obtainable in Nigeria, a place where there is no rule of law. Now, let me read this news for you. It says the Edo State Police Command is set to unjustly dismiss a policewoman, Inspector Edith Uduma, for exposing alleged sexual molestation of a female detainee at a police division in Etsako West in Edo State. Sahara reporters learned that the policewoman had witnessed the incident involving one sergeant, Abraham Ozobo, and a female detainee whose name is kept anonymous for sake of human sanctity. The detained female was removed from cell where she was kept to the administration unit of the cell, where the now dismissed officer Abraham drugged her and had carnal knowledge of her. The victim was aged 17 as of the time of the incident. Sources familiar with the issue told Sahara reporters that after witnessing the incident, the police divisional officer was contacted, same as the station officer and one Inspector Ina Yibala. It was, however, gathered that the DPO, SP Osemwegie Lillian, failed to act on the incident by reporting to appropriate authorities up until 5 days after the incident took place. Sources told Sahara reporters that Edith was asked not to file the case immediately, but she did, a development that angered the EBA divisional police officer Lillian when she resumed the next day. It was also understood that Inspector Edith was pressurized to drop the issue by the DPO of EBA police station, Jatau and Auchi. It was gathered that when the DPO did not act, Edith reached out to a personal assistant to the police commissioner to report the incident. She was asked to go to the area command to report. Our source confirmed the development, telling Sahara reporters that the case was reported to the personal assistant to the commissioner. It was the personal assistant to the police commissioner that informed the commissioner after the DPO failed to do so. It was after the commissioner got aware that the DPO wrote a signal saying she was never informed. The news is just so much. Let me leave it here. But I'm not here to bring out this gossip. You understand? This is the everyday lifestyle in Nigeria. The question I have for you Nigerians is, are you not tired? Are you not tired? Like I said, I'm not here to bring it out as a gossip. I want to point especially to the fact that Nigerian children are not safe in Nigeria. Nigerian children are not safe in the hands of those who are supposed to protect them. Nigerian children are not safe in the hands of their parents. Yes, they are not safe in the hands of their parents. Look at how a police officer molested a 17-year-old girl, raping her, drugging and raping her. And this has become a norm. Remember in Imo State, not so long ago, a young girl, I don't even think she was up to 16, was raped so much that by the time she came out from the police station, she was already pregnant. Now, before we even go to the point of the craziness of these crimes that are being committed daily by the police, let us look at the fact that these kids are abducted every single day by the police. Why is the police abducting these kids? Why is the police, the army, why are they abducting these children? Why? Abduct them, accuse them of one crime or the other, detain them in their cells, rape them, drug them, and rape them. And at so many points, they kill and harvest their organs. And this is happening in Nigeria, broad daylight, as a consequence of the fact that Nigerians don't have power over their own lives. Nigerians are not in charge of their lives. And this is very, very crazy. This is crazy. What is happening in Nigeria is crazy. Nigeria treats their own children with so much hatred. So much hatred. It is just crazy. Look at this other news here. It says, escalating hunger will drive children away from school. Nutritionist warn. Escalating hunger will drive children away from school. Nutritionists warn. The the reason actually why there is so much hunger is to ensure that Nigerian children don't go to school. It, that is one of the reasons. Okay, let me explain. Before I explain, let me ask you, where is the future of the Nigerian children? Where is the future of the Nigerian children? You just saw the other day how Nigeria government brought children to court. And not only that they brought children to court, they kept those children in their dungeon, DSS dungeon, for more than 3 months. What did those children do? They came out to protest that they need a better life, that they are hungry. That's all. The only thing they did was to come out and ask their government to save their lives. And what did their government do? Their government abducted them. Their government abducted them. Their government said, no, we're not going to let you talk to us anyhow. Their government abducted them. These are children. I've just read to you a police officer raping a child in his protection, drugging and raping a child, which means they keep these drugs handy. And the fact that these people are all doing all that they can in order to protect this police officer goes to show you that this is a norm. They have normalized this. This has become one of those where it's like drinking water for them. And I just read to you the verdict of what escalating hunger will do to children. Do you think that those who were able to abduct these children from streets because they were protesting hunger, kept them in DSS dungeon, did not feed them to the point where when they brought them to court after 3 months, they collapsed on the floor in the court? Do you think they care about these children going to school? Of course, they don't care. They've already shown it by taking them off school. They have already shown it by taking them off school. Now, there is this other clip I could play for you, but okay, perhaps I'll play it later for you. Police officers, actually, what they did was that they stopped these students, their future generation, their children. They stopped them and then they kept them on the road for more than 30 minutes, after which they they forcefully took money from them. They extorted them to the tune of 15,000, and then they kept those kids' phones. And after that, after the extortion, alert came to the guy that, okay, you've transferred this amount of money. And the police officer saw that alert and said, wow, so you still have some more money. And then took these young people, took them, and what happened? They ended up kidnapping them, asking them to call their family, their friends, and all of that. until their family and friends were able to send a total amount of 10 million naira. 10 million naira. And we'll get to why this is happening, because, you see, I asked the question, I said, where is the future of the Nigerian children? Where is the future of the Nigerian children? So when you call in, please, let's have a conversation with regards to that. Where's the future of the Nigerian children? I'll tell you my opinion, because I don't think the Nigerian children have any future that is different from being farm animals. And by farm animals, I'm talking about being tools for, organ harvesting. They become just ordinary organs. This is what Nigeria has designed their children for. And I'll tell you why. But you know that most times when we talk about the future, we always imagine a distant time. We always imagine that, oh no, it's still there, it's coming. But this morning, I want to let you know that this idea is not true. This thing of imagining the future being tomorrow, being in some distant time, it is not true. The future is right here. The future is now. Now. This morning I woke up like usual by 1, and then I said, oh man, I wish I could have slept at least for 4 or 5 hours, And then I looked at the time, it was 1. I was like, okay. So what do I do? Okay, let me do one of the things I usually do when I wake up. And then I said to myself, okay, what time am I going on air? By 5 o'clock Biafra time, that is 6 here. So by 1, actually, that is by 12 Biafra time. That was when I woke up. So I said, okay, you know what? Why don't you just try and sleep? At least, even if it's for 1 hour, 2 hours. I knew it was not going to be possible, but I just said, just try and sleep. Why did I do that? Why did I say to myself, just try and sleep? Because I saw that 5 Biafra time, I still had 5 hours. That is 12 Biafra time to 5 hours, right? So I was seeing it as in the future. I saw it as, yeah, it's still going to come. It's still coming. So it's in the future, right? But look at where we are now. Have we not passed it? Have we not passed that 5 o'clock? We have, right? So how long did it take? It didn't even, it just happened. It just happened. So I say the future is today. It is now. Not even just today. It is now. It is now. Tomorrow. The future is now. Because today that you are enjoying was once a tomorrow. Of course, it was once a tomorrow. This moment, this second, this particular minute was once a next week. This particular minute now was once a next week. It used to be, in fact, 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago, 1 year ago. At a point, it was 20 years ago. At a point, it was 1,000 years ago. But here we are. You know this thing of future, I discovered that it is an illusion. You cannot separate it from the moment. You can't separate tomorrow from today. You can't separate 1,000 years from today. What do you think is the difference between now and last 1,000 years? There is somewhere in the Bible it says there is nothing new under the surface of the earth. There is nothing new under the surface of the earth. So yesterday, today, tomorrow, they are all the same thing, one thing. They are all one thing. But whether it will be for good or for bad depends on what we do now. Not what we do today, but what we do now. So one thing is for sure, that let's make it clear that the flesh, the skin, doesn't have the capacity to stay as constant as the illusion of yesterday. The illusion of yesterday, the illusion of today, the illusion of tomorrow. So for us to ensure that the dreams, for us to ensure that the aspirations we have for tomorrow, for us to ensure that the plans that we have are achieved, what do? We create another us, a continuation, another us with a skin, with a flesh that can be fresher, that can be able to sustain those plans, that can be able to sustain those dreams, that can be able to sustain those aspirations. Make sure that tomorrow, when the skin is no longer able to power us, that they are achieved. So we program that other us so that we can be able to propel them in the direction that ensures the continuity of tomorrow, the kind of tomorrow we want to build. And why am I taking my time to talk about this? Why is this really important, you might ask? Why did you come from where is the future of the Nigerian children to talking about tomorrow, talking about all these things? It is because if you want to know the character of a man, look at how he treats his family. If you want to know the future of a man and his wife, if you want to know the future that people are building, look at the behavior of their children. Look at how they treat their children. How they treat their children will determine their future, their behavior. This is why I took time to talk about the illusion of the future. When you have today, the illusion that no, tomorrow is going to come. When you already have tomorrow today, you are living tomorrow today. This is why intelligent people invest in their children more than they invest in themselves. Because they know that that is the tomorrow. Because they know. The truth is that we are able to reach out. We are able to touch the future with every child we inspire. With every child we condemn. That is the only way for us to reach out and touch the future. You know, Nelson Mandela in September 1997 said something very critical about the relationship between a society and its future. He said something very critical. He said the true character of the society is revealed in how it treats its children. The true character of society is revealed in how it treats its children. You know, look at Nigeria and how it treats Nigerians. Look at Nigeria. How it treats Nigerians, its children. If you want to see, okay, if you want to see, of course, you know how Nigeria sees itself tomorrow. You know where Nigeria is going to tomorrow. Onyendo has made that clear. If you want to see how a country sees itself today and how a country sees its future, that is the future it wants to build, a future it looks towards to, look at how it treats its children. When Onyendo said to us, Nigeria, if we do not bring Nigeria to an end, it will bring our lives to an end. Some people thought it was a joke. Some people thought it was just a rhetoric from a rabble-rouser. But look at how Nigeria is treating its children. Is that the way a country that wants to survive treats its children? Look at the character of the Nigerian government, the Nigerian state. You know, People show their character through what they do. And that is why people are defined by their actions. Your attitude or your character cannot be differentiated from your actions, the actions you take. Oh, that is nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. Your actions define you. For instance, you characterize as a thief if you steal. When I characterize people like Hope Uzodimma, people like Simon Ekpa and his criminal gang, people like Olusegun Obasanjo who actually advocated, promoted this criminal, and these other Nigerian politicians, including their journalists like David Hundeyin. When I characterize these people as a threat to the well-being of Nigeria, to the well-being of Nigerians, it is because their character is one that threatens the well-being of Nigeria and the well-being of Nigerians. They are so-called countrymen. So it doesn't matter how much they claim to be fighting for the ordinary man on the street. When their actions are contrary to what they say, don't even bother listening to them. Don't even bother listening to them because their actions, they say actions speak louder than words. Oh, I'm an investigative journalist, but you could not even do a little investigation to find who actually is supporting the criminal in Finland. No, because that is not your character. Your character is to be used as a tool for hire. Oh, Tinubu is destroying Nigeria. Who led when you left Nigeria, was Nigeria any better? How many people did you bomb Batodi? Isn't it Timaya sang a song because of the massacre that Obasanjo committed? Oh, no. But the economy wasn't that bad. But you killed people. Isn't it people who will leave first before they talk about economy? Yeah, you have to be alive first before you talk about economy. So you go bombing communities, not even like bombing communities, and you have the guts. He has the guts to come today and complain. Oh, you see, the actions. They are, every society shapes its children in the direction it aspires to go. That is, when you look at how Nigeria is shaping Nigerians, can you predict the direction Nigeria is heading to? Can you predict? You know, during slavery, what Britain did was, if you disagree with them, they'll say to you, no, we are lawful people. We're using the law. After they've killed everybody and subdued everybody. And then they'll bring their own law into your own country. And say to you, and then bring you to their own court in your own land, controlled by your law. They don't even care about your law. They said, no, yeah. They bring their own law. And then they do whatever they want to do. Even the people they use, they don't have the rights to be lawyers. Nothing. They don't care about the process. They just, it's the law. It's been pronounced. And that's it. Because they were trying to build a system where you see them as Lord and you see that, it doesn't matter, this is their law. They will just use it to defend themselves. That is what they have been trying to build. And until today, they are still building that. They expect you to know that you don't challenge the Nigeria government in court. If not, they will keep you in prison for as long as they want to. Is that not what is obtainable in Nigeria, keeping people in prison for as long as they want to? So every society shapes its children in the direction it aspires to go. It wants Nigerian children, those children that were in court, to know that, listen, we have the power. You are nothing. You don't matter. Because children give a society an opportunity to have a future, an opportunity for them to continue their project. So what type of future is Nigeria giving to Nigerians? Therefore, you cannot mistake the character of a society. You cannot mistake the direction that Nigeria is headed. When you look at how it is treating its children, raping them without any kind of no remorse, killing them without any remorse. When a society treats its children with hate, when it doesn't love its children enough to care for them. Okay, let's say that Nigeria is not killing Nigerians, of which we know it is killing Nigerians. But let's just say that it is not, and then people are suffering from hunger. What do you think that is? What do you think that is? Because if you care for your children, what do? You think ahead. Oh, school will soon close. Before school closes, you've already made provisions so that in the house, somebody will take care of them if you are going to work. You probably call your sister, call your mother, call somebody that will take care of them if they cannot take care of themselves. That is what you do when you care. But not Nigeria. Nigeria doesn't care for Nigerians, so it doesn't make provisions for the children to be taken care of. It doesn't make any provision for Nigerians to be taken care of. None whatsoever. Basically, they are left to the mercy of the Nigerian state. A state that treats its children with so much hatred. Are you telling me it wants them to succeed? It does not want them to succeed. And let's just go to this news now. Let's see. Let's go to this news now. This here is from Reuters, and it's about an investigation that has been carried out in Nigeria. It says the abortion assault. That is the headline. The abortion assault. You know, this here is very, very painful to read. The Nigerian military ran secret mass abortion program in war against Boko Haram. They tagged it a war against Boko Haram. Meanwhile, they were running secret mass abortion program using the funding they get to fight terrorists in order to forcefully abort Nigerian children, forcefully kill them. And I was asking myself why. I will tell you the conclusion I came to as to the reason why they did this. Because you'll be wondering, why would Nigeria be using the money they were supposed to use to fight terrorists in order to commit this mass abortion? But let's go to this investigation. It says, this is from Reuters actually. Reuters conducted this investigation. It says, since at least 2013, the Nigerian military has conducted a secret, systematic and illegal abortion program in the country's northeast, ending at least 10,000 pregnancies among women and girls. A Reuters investigation has found. Many had been kidnapped and raped by Islamist militants. Resistors were beaten, held at gunpoint, or drugged into compliance, witnesses say. You see the modus operandi. Is it not the same with what the police did? Okay, let's go to it. It says Fati wondered if her life was over. This is how Nigerian children wonder if their lives are over. It says Nigerian soldiers surrounded the Lake Chad island village where Islamist insurgents held her and many other women captive. Shells exploded, bullets whipped by. As her captors fled, Fati blacked out in terror. When she awoke in a military camp nearby, I felt the happiest I've ever had in my life, said Fati, now in her early 20s. recalling the attack that occurred several years ago in Nigeria's northern Borno state, which means she was less than 20, because now she's in her early 20s, and this attack happened several years ago. The rescuing happened several years ago, probably a teenager. It says, over more than a year, she told Reuters she had been forcibly married to insurgents, beaten and repeatedly raped, resulting in a recent pregnancy. Who knows how many pregnancies she's had? But she's talking about the recent pregnancy. And let's see why she was talking about the recent one instead of maybe others. Now, finally, she had been rescued. I was extremely grateful to the soldiers, she said. About a week later, Fatisha said she laid on a mat in a narrow, dim room at a military barracks in Maiduguri, the state capital. It was rank with cockroaches skittering across the floor. Uniformed men came in and out, giving her and 5 other women mysterious injections and pills. You wonder why after 1 week, she's still there. She's in Nigeria Army facility. After 1 week, dirty facility. So Nigeria Army, after the billions they budget, after the billions the government budget, they can't even provide a facility that is worthy enough for their children to stay in. Because they have no value for their children. That's why they cannot have a good facility. This girl was rescued only for her to be for a week in a place with cockroaches, according to her, skittering across the floor. You can imagine how dirty that place is. And they came in, uniformed men came in and out, giving her and 5 other women mysterious injections and pills. After about 4 hours, said Fati, who was about 4 months pregnant, she felt searing pain in her stomach and black blood seeped out of her. The other women were bleeding as well and written on the floor. The soldiers want to kill us, she thought. So now let's stop here a bit and wonder. Let's wonder a bit. Why then would these soldiers attack the terrorist where they rescued her from if they wanted to kill her? Why? Why then would they attack them? Then you get to understand that perhaps they have a different reason for attacking those terrorists. It wasn't to kill those terrorists or whatever. No, the reason why they attacked those terrorists, we still do not know. But it was definitely not for the good of the country, nor the good of its citizens. It was definitely not for it. So let's read more. It says Fati was 4 months pregnant when liberated from the insurgents. Soon after, she says, soldiers medically aborted the pregnancy without telling her. And she was warned, if you share this with anyone, you'll be seriously beaten. She recalled the injections, then understood the soldiers had aborted her pregnancies without asking or even telling them. After the women washed the blood down a squat toilet, she said they were warned. If you share this with anyone, you will be seriously beaten. Imagine a soldier beating you. You know that when they tell you you'll be seriously beaten, it's death. Since at least 2013, at least, they're saying at least, which means that's the at least the one they know of. The Nigerian army has run a secret, systematic, and illegal abortion program in the country's northeast, terminating at least 10,000 pregnancies among women and girls, many of whom have been kidnapped and raped by Islamist militants, according to dozens of witness accounts and documentation reviewed by Reuters. This is crazy, isn't it? This is crazy stuff. This is the kind of things that happen in movies where American people come to rescue These, yeah, citizens from these guys who are just what's the word they usually use? That word, from savages, you know. They come to rescue from savages. Now, who is the savage? Who is the savage here? The Nigerian government. The Nigerian government is the savage. It says the abortions mostly were carried out without the person's consent and often without their prior knowledge, according to the witness accounts. The women and girls ranged from a few weeks to 8 months pregnant, and some were as young as 12 years old. Interviews and records showed. So even girls of 12 years old, they were not immune. They are not immune. They are still being persecuted. They are still being gang raped by the Nigeria army, by the Nigeria police. They are still being drugged by the Nigeria police and the army. And their children are still being forcefully killed by the Nigeria army and the Nigeria police. This is here. This is according to Reuters investigation. 12-year-olds. And these are people who are heavily pregnant from weeks, some weeks, a few weeks, to even 8 months old. 8 months old. It says this investigation is based on interviews with 33 women and girls who say they underwent abortions while in the custody of the Nigerian army. Just one said she freely gave consent. Out of the 33, one said she freely gave consent. Reporters also interviewed 5 civilian healthcare workers and 9 security personnel involved in the program, including soldiers and other government employees such as armed guards engaged in escorting pregnant women to abortion sites. So they even have armed guards. They are armed to ensure that they scare you into even agreeing, like that girl agreed. They scare you into, you feel like your life is over. You feel like, you see, the girl said that she thought they poisoned her. They're trying to kill her. They're trying to kill them. So with such, why wouldn't these kids agree? One said that she freely gave consent. No, that one did not. You don't know the pressure, the force, the kind of threat they put them under. It says Reuters reviewed copies of military documents and civilian hospital records describing or tallying thousands of abortion procedures. The ones they have recorded, thousands of abortion procedures. The existence of the army-run abortion program hasn't been previously reported. The campaign relied on deception and physical force against women who were kept in military custody for days or weeks. 3 soldiers and a guard said they commonly assured women, who often were debilitated from captivity in the bush, that the pills and injection given to them were to restore their health and fight diseases such as malaria. In some instances, women who resisted were beaten, caned, held at gunpoint, or drugged into compliance. Others were tied or pinned down as abortion drugs were inserted inside them, said a guard and a health worker. Bintu Ibrahim, now in her late 20s, recounted how soldiers gave her 2 injections without her consent after picking her up with a group of other women who fled the insurgents after 3 years ago. When the blood came and the terrifying pain, she knew she and the others had been given abortions. The women protested and demanded to know why, she said, until the soldiers threatened to kill them. So now, you ask yourself, why would this soldier go on to rescue these people and then force them to abort? Because, number one, it wasn't a rescue. Like I said to you, it wasn't a rescue. Number two is They are working with this terrorist, and that's why I said to you it wasn't a rescue. Okay, tell me why else would they forcefully abort these children then? What else is the reason? I'll tell you what I came up with. I'll tell you what I came up with. It makes sense. Could be wrong, but it makes sense. It makes sense that if, for instance, let's be rational now, if a woman should escape from a terrorist who kidnapped her, beat her, raped her, it is highly likely that they were unable to break her to the point where she became an accessory to her own persecution. So she escaped. That was why she escaped, right? Because if she was broken to be an accessory, she would see herself now as a wife. And now, when others are coming in, she'll be the one helping to break them into submission, right? So the fact that they ran away meant that they were not broken and that they hated their circumstance. And what do you think is going to happen when they give birth to those children? They will tell those children that their fathers, their parents, were this and this and that and this wicked. And those children will become a threat to those terrorists. And you see how the army now comes in. They come in to ensure that they kill those children before they are even born. So they come in to kill those children who will become threats to these terrorists because the army and terrorists are working together. Because the army are actually terrorists that are recruited and given uniforms as Nigeria Army. It is clear, you know it, the information is out there that Nigeria military recruits terrorists into their rank and file. Not just the military, but several security infrastructures in Nigeria recruit terrorists into the army to the point where a GOC, General Officer Commanding, said clearly that these terrorists should come and join the army, that they have opportunity to become the president. And with this conversation, this statement is not what we are going to be having today. Someday we'll bring up this statement because it clearly shows that the army are planning something, talking about being a president of a country. In a democratic dispensation, he's assuring soldiers, terrorists who recruit into being soldiers, that they will be given opportunity to become president. If that doesn't tell you that these people, for a long time, they still have their eyes on taking over power. But that's not where we go into today. So, you see how they are working with terrorists. Because those children will, of course, hate their parents, their father. Because their mother ran away from that because she could not tolerate it. And guess what? Those children will come up, grow up, and will be told by the community that this is who your father is. Your mother was abducted and raped and beaten, and that's how you came out. And they would hate. They would hate, and they would become a problem to those terrorists. So the Nigerian army had to come in and rescue the terrorists. So this morning, I want you to bear it in mind that it is the Nigerian government that is destroying Nigeria. Oh, IPOB is destroying Nigeria. Oh, look at even what this. I'm ashamed at people who call themselves investigative journalists like David Hundeyin. Look at, just imagine, coming out to blame IPOB when Nigeria government clearly is destroying Nigeria. Do you know why? Why are they destroying Nigeria? Why are they making sure that they are destroying Nigeria? For them to take your land and give to the Fulanis, for the Fulanis to take your land, of course you know anyway. They will have to destroy every chance that you get to fight back. They have to destroy it. They have to destroy every opportunity that will present itself tomorrow that you have to use to fight back. They have to destroy it. And this means destroying your future today. This means killing you today, even before you are born. If they can, they kill you before you are born. And if they cannot, they abduct the ones they can abduct today. They kill you at every opportunity that they get today. Harvest your organs. Harvest your organs. So the future of every society lies within its children, and it's killing its children. Therefore, it is the Nigeria government that is killing Nigeria, not IPOB, not Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Therefore, why is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in DSS dungeon? Because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is giving life to Nigerians. Those who are indigenous in Nigeria, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is giving them life. And Nigeria doesn't want life for Nigerians. Okay, let's look at the history now. Because I was just thinking to myself, analyzing the curriculum of the Nigerian state since the beginning of Nigeria. The other day I was just analyzing it, going through it. And I came to the point of realizing the way that the curriculum has changed over the years. And you recall that very soon, actually, Nigeria government already signed this Samoa um, Accord, where they are supposed to implement all these gay teachings and all of that to tell children that it's actually okay that a man can touch a man and sleep with a man and all of that. And a woman can sleep with a woman and touch a woman and all of that. I mean, they've already signed it. They've already signed the agreement. And then a new curriculum will be coming up very soon. So you can imagine that there is now a change. So I was asking myself, all this period, 1914 to now, how has the education system in Nigeria changed? How has it transformed over the years? I realized that in 1914, when the British came in, they were busy trying to mold people, children, who would forget who they were. Remember that your ancestors fought? Remember that they fought, so you still have some figments of those memories of the fighting that they fought to preserve their identity. So the first task was to make sure that you forget, to make sure that you forget, that you have, that you forget. That was their first task. So the first curriculum was based on making sure that you are forgetful of who you are. No knowledge of self. For instance, if you are Igbo, you will not understand what it means to be an Igbo, the essence of being an Igbo. You forget. You forget the fact that they fought in order to preserve your life. Your ancestors fought. If you are Yoruba, if you are Hausa, you will not remember what it means to be a Yoruba or now Hausa. You forget that your people were people of pride who fought to preserve their identity and who died preserving it. And so that was the first curriculum. And so what did they produce? They produce like they produce leaders like people like Awolowo, people like Nnamdi Azikiwe, people who have no knowledge of self. They produced people like that. The rest of them, the rest of them, because if Awolowo had knowledge of self, he would have understood the need for preservation of their race. And for them to preserve their race, they must work hand in hand with their neighbors, not working hand in hand with people who came in from Futajalon. Until today, they are still doing it. TUNU is still doing it. TUNU said the Fulanis and the Yorubas are one. During his campaign, he said it and he's shown it. You know, I was the other day wondering, why is it that since this woman, the late Ojuku's wife, our eternal leader's wife, since she was actually appointed to a position, out of 7 people, the only Igbo person is her. Out of 7 appointees, the only Igbo person is her. But she made news. You don't even hear about the others. You don't even hear about how many Fulanis were there, how many Yorubas were there. Only the only Igbo woman. She was the only one every time, even in the house. Oh, how beautiful you are. And so they produce leaders like that. So that's the first level of people that they produce, people with no knowledge of self. And these people with no knowledge of self, you know what? One of the characteristics, they are always too eager to be accepted where they do not belong. They don't want to be accepted where they belong. You know why? Because they have that figment of memory of where they're coming from. So they are still traumatized. So they are coming from here. They feel like, if you are traumatized being in a place and you feel like, okay, I'm here, this place is not solving my trauma. Therefore, you go out looking for solution where solution is not even. So these people are always seeking to be accepted where they do not belong. So when they go to London, they want to be accepted. When they go to the Fulanis in the north, they want to be accepted. And today, you're still seeing people doing that. You're still seeing Peter Obi doing that. And the rest of them. They want acceptance. But they do not seek acceptance where they are from. Because they feel like they are already accepted. They feel like, I'm only Igbo now, so what's the point? So the problem is really not whether the society accepts them or not. It is in whether they accept themselves. That's where their problem lies. Whether they accept themselves. And so they keep searching and keep searching for acceptance where they will never be accepted. And so after that generation, the second generation came, and that generation also suffered the identity crisis. They inherited it from their parents, of course. But their own is even worse. Their own became worse because on top of that foundation, Nigeria, Britain using Nigeria now formed this identity where they now rely on their fathers. Whatever their parents say they are, that identity their parents say they are, is what they agree. And guess what? Their parents who were looking for foreign validation were given the validation of Nigeria as their identity. And guess what? They sold it to their children. The second generation. So their children seeing their fathers as saviors and the redeemer of Africa. Oh, wonderful people, we got our freedom. They hanged on tightly to the Nigerian identity. They hanged on. And so, unlike their parents, who are less likely to die for Nigeria, they became even more available to fight and die for Nigeria. And so that was what led to 1960. They were busy killing us. Those were people who were second generation, third generation of Nigerians. Especially second generation. They were busy fighting and dying for a country that neither them nor their ancestors created. The likes of Obasanjo, the likes of Yakubu Gowon. Men and women until today who are still fighting and willing to die for a contraption that brings only hopelessness. They are still there. The second and third generation produced by Nigeria's curriculum. When we talk about education is not just in the classroom. Okay, let's go to the next generation, the fourth generation of Nigeria. Because I feel like this has, over time, has transformed to the point where they feel like we are where we want Nigerians to be now, ready for organ harvesting. Maybe not the final product. I think the final product should have taken about, say, 140 years to develop. Say, to properly develop, 140, 120. Actually, if not for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, this generation would have been the ripe time. If not for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, this would have been the perfect time. The perfect time. So the fourth generation, that includes Obasanjo's children, that includes Yakubu Gowon's children, that even goes to the point of including someone like me. People born after the 1970 until 1990. Let's say, yeah. People born by then. And how did the curriculum structure us? The curriculum designed us to be workers in the slave farm. Obedient workers. I'm talking about not those workers who resisted the work, but those ones who were the house niggers. That is what the curriculum was designed to make us. And by that, I'm talking about good managers. The education we received turned us into people who can manage. From 1980, actually, from 1980 to 19, uh, 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 um, from 19, is it 1980, 1970 to 1990? Yeah, from 1970 to 1990. It turned us into people, managers, wonderful managers. People who can manage a set up structure, because remember that you're coming from a generation where your grandfather has identity issues, looking for foreigners to validate them, and then gave birth to your father, who is now busy fighting and dying for Nigeria, gave birth to you, who is now a manager, managing that Nigeria that your father fought and died for. So they've already created this whole process. Now the manager does not build a structure, rather the manager manages the structure. There is a difference between a manager and an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is not naturally a manager. An entrepreneur doesn't necessarily know how to manage things. An entrepreneur just sees things in his mind, ideas in his mind, and he's able to create them with the help of a manager. So they created us to know how to maintain an already set up system, not to think of how to invent, but just to manage it. So that this is why after studying in Nigeria, you are forced to leave Nigeria to go manage the already set up situation. If you don't leave, then you are in Nigeria looking for jobs so that you can manage a system that has already been set up. You see? So the difference, like I said, between a manager and entrepreneur is I've already highlighted. Entrepreneur, you can start new ideas, and that is what they train their children to be. For us, we are just managers, managing ideas, managing already a structure set up. We do not develop ideas. We do not develop new systems. We do not develop new businesses. A manager is not just the man in the office acting as the manager of a company, but also the cleaner who makes sure that the workplace is clean and running. Also the security man who makes sure that, because without the cleaner, without the security man, without the driver, without the admin, without the accountant, without the others, the company will not run itself. Even the manager will fail. The manager will fail. All these people do not invent anything new. They do not invent a new process, a new system. All these people do is to use the already set out strategies in order to keep that company that was formed by somebody in line. And if they give you a task and say, okay, this is the growth we're looking for, you now have to find a way to learn from people who've been there before. So like I said, in 1970, the future that Nigeria saw for Nigerians in 1990 was to be shipped out like slaves to America so that they can manage their businesses there, manage the health of their old parents, manage things for them, maintain their growth. Today, has anything changed with regards to the character of Nigerians? Do you see any change? I'd say, yeah, I've seen some changes. I've seen some changes. But it has become more constricting. It has become even more discouraging. It is more discouraging for you to generate or grow any idea, to develop any idea. It is even more discouraging than it was in 1970, 1980, 1990. It is choking the life out of any possibility of a better future, whether as a manager, whether as an entrepreneur, because they feel like they've passed that stage. So to achieve this future of hopelessness, Nigeria government have now gone to the young people and to program to change the system. So from 1990, there has been a generational, should I say, silencing of the generation. They've been able to try to silence the generation, sideline them so as to make them feel silenced and alone, and therefore unable to shape their future. And so this character is consistent with a country that is not building a future for its children. It's consistent with a country that does not want the survival of Nigerians. And so today, they are using those ones that they built in a state of hopelessness, those ones that they built in a more constricting and discouraging environment to generate organs, to harvest organs. That is why the police and the army are there, raping 16-year-olds, killing, harvesting their organs. And you know the future they are building for the next generation, can you imagine? Can you imagine? It will become a place where... let me tell you a story. You see, during slavery, what these slavers did was they created, what do you call this? Um, what do you call this? I've forgotten. You see, you know, there's a place we call Ibariogwa, right? I think it's Ibariogwa. I'm not sure what it's called. Let me see if I can remember what it's called. In Imo State, it's just there at. So it's supposed to be a cultural place where you have this culture and things. Yeah, I've always seen it as a wonderful thing, but when I think about it recently, when I've been thinking about it, I was asking myself, where did they get this idea from? So what they did was, in Europe, they created a village, like they called it African village. And that's, these days, we don't even know. We create African villages everywhere. They know America, ha create the African village, Igbo community. Once in a while, they go there and do one nonsense or the other. They don't even know where those things are coming from. So they created those things, and people will go there for excursion. Like you see when you go to the zoo to watch animals. Yeah. So they went to Congo and to several places in Africa, all over, not just Congo. They took people and they brought people there inside that place where they fenced it. They built houses that are similar to the mud houses where they were living. And then they left them there and orchestrated drama and all of that for them. So people come and those people come out and be acting their drama, be doing this and that and be doing. I saw a picture recently where a little kid was signing a paper where foreigners were there looking. And if you look around the village, you think, oh, this is no, it's not an African village. They built that thing there in Europe, and they took it from country to country, from country to country. It was a tour. After, in this country, they would spend maybe 2 months, 3 months. People will come and watch. A lot of people will come. Actually, the number of people they said that witnessed that event was in the millions, tens of millions, more than 10 million people. One of the ways of convincing their people that these people are animals. So this is the end where they are coming to, where they will so design it properly, and the next generation, these people who were put in the court for simply protesting, these children who were put in dungeon, DSS dungeon for 3 months for protesting, where they will be put in Nigeria with no fence, nothing. White people will be coming and be watching them like animals. Because you can tell where a country is going from its character, how it treats its children. You can tell the character of a country via how it treats its children. So this morning I'm telling this story for us to be encouraged and not to get you uh, um, discouraged. No, I'm telling you. I mean, why do we see trouble as discouraging? Why? Why? I don't even understand it. Why do we see trouble as discouraging? Why? Why do we see it as that? So this morning, this is an encouragement to you to let you know that there is work to do. You know, there is work to do. So this morning, when you wake up, ask yourself, what am I doing really? What am I doing? What am I doing? Hmm? Ask yourself, what am I doing? So, Colin, let's have a conversation. Where is the future of Nigeria? Where do you think is heading? The number to call is +2 7 73 8090 689. I repeat, the number to call is +2 7 73 8090 689. Where do you think the zoo is heading to? And you know, when our leader call Nigeria the zoo, some people got offended. Oh, why? Oh, this is our country. Why must you call it the zoo? But Nigeria is even worse than the zoo. I mean, our leader actually was very nice calling Nigeria the zoo. I mean, for real, you have people that it blows my mind. I don't understand it. You have, do you know that anybody that you respect in Nigeria, just check them one by one. Check them one by one. You'll be disappointed. Check them one by one. Check them one by one. You'll be disappointed. All of them. How do you think such a country is supposed to exist? People, imagine someone that calls himself an investigative journalist. This is even what drives me crazy. I'm like, yo, can you imagine? Can you imagine the madness? Can you imagine the madness? It's scary. Nigeria doesn't have any future except the future of destruction. That's the only one. That's the only thing that it has. I have a caller on the direct line. Caller, welcome to Radio Biafra. Please go ahead, introduce yourself and your opinion. Caller, please go ahead. Yeah, I'm not sure. Your line is not so well, but please go ahead. Let's see.
Good morning, Chima.
Good morning.
This is Oman. My name is Mazi. I'm coming from Aflama. In fact, you broke this morning that there's nobody that will say that we have been learning a lot from our session, Radio Biafra. But I hope we should continue with this good work. But the only thing I want to appeal again is please, the viewers should please make this radio available to every location in Biafra so that our people can get knowledge. We are lacking a lot. We are lacking a lot. There is no way we can do without this information. That is my own. I will still contribute in subsequent time, but I want to make this happen. Since Rochas will corrupt jam Radio Biafra in Nisipa, we can't get it to late if you are using app. And some of us are not ready to subscribe to app. Some of us didn't know about it. Please, if our people can push and that this Radio Biafra go into every nook and cranny that we can get it like the way we used to get it. In the year 2012, when you type www.radiobiafra.ipop.org, you see you listening from your location. But it's no longer. Thank you for your this morning. I thank a lot. May the Almighty teach you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, all hail Biafra. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, the truth is that the radio is a work in progress. I must tell you that. The radio is a work in progress. And we are in war front, so it's being fixed. The ones that are not working are being set up nicely, so but it will take time, so we must exercise some patience, but at the same time, we must be able to use the app. It's the sacrifice that we must do. If we cannot afford to use the app, then we must cut off Facebook. We must cut off this social media. You know, I think we must be teaching our people what is called a scale of preference. What is more important to you? You know, and I thank this caller for bringing this to our attention. Honestly, it's very important. There's something called scale of preference. What is very important to you? What do you think in the hierarchy of your needs? Which one is more important? In the hierarchy of your needs, what is more important to you? You understand? So, our people in the hierarchy of needs, these are people still suffering from the whole situation that Nigeria government has put us through. So, uh, most people just want to be happy, you know, even for a fleeting seconds, they just want to be happy. But IPOB is not offering a temporary cure. We are offering a permanent solution. A permanent solution. That is what we are offering. A permanent solution. So join us. The line is still open. You can call in, have your opinion heard. Let's listen to these police officers.
10 million naira. That's what my name is Harrison Wamnishu. We just left Unogwa, AIG zone 16, Unogwa, Bayelsa State. All right. Some NYC members traveling from Warri to Port Harcourt. They are Deltans. They were stopped at stop and search in Bayelsa State. Some officers who are not identified as surveillance team of the AIG Zone 16, Bayelsa State, took their phones from them and searched them. They found nothing. They searched the car. They found nothing. So they asked them to please to give them money for fuel. Because of the delay, they delayed them for almost 30 minutes. So the young man transferred 15,000 naira to the officer. This is the account he transferred the money to. And after he transferred this money to the officer, I think the officer holding his phone saw the debit alert on his phone dropped, and he saw that he has some huge amount of money in his account. So now they can't change them for him. Immediately he saw the debit alert on his phone, they dragged them into the car and took them away. He drove them for about 2 hours in the bush, going from different location to another, until they now took them to Zone 16, Bayelsa, where they took them to the office and forced them to make some videos that they allege internet fraudsters, Yahoo Yahoo, and the rest of them. So they started telling them to tell the family to send money. They started calling friends and families, and they were sending money to their account until they got about 10 million naira, which they transferred to this POS account, was paid to POS accounts. The officers involved in this case were just patrolling around the yard, like they were laughing at us. So, no, we don't collect them now. We go see you. So we go see. They were like threatening us in the place. So we now went to AIG office to go and say AIG. The PIO led us to AIG office. And the way the man shouted at me, the way the man treated me was very, very bad. And it shows that he is working with these guys. He's the one backing them. Because if you're not the one backing them, I don't see the reason why you should be angry with me. So the IG should call the AIG Zone 16 to order. Because these guys have been doing this thing for so long. A lot of recovery has been made